Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. California Governor Gavin Newsom said he will block Louisiana's request to extradite a Bay Area doctor accused of mailing abortion pills into the state. Newsom cited California's shield protections for providers. House Democrats introduced 3 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, accusing her of obstruction, constitutional violations, and corruption. The push is gaining co-sponsors, but Republicans control the House. A federal judge declined to immediately halt ICE operations in Minnesota after the state in Minneapolis and St. Paul sued to stop the crackdown. She ordered a Justice Department response next week. President Trump renewed his push for the U.S. to acquire Greenland after a high-level meeting with Danish and Greenlandic officials. Denmark and Greenland rejected it, heightening tensions inside NATO. The Trump administration reversed planned cuts of more than $2 billion in federal mental health and addiction grants after bipartisan backlash. Officials said existing awards will continue, avoiding disruptions for nonprofits and clinics. The Supreme Court heard arguments on state laws barring transgender girls from competing on girls' school sports teams. Several justices signaled the bans may stand, with a decision expected later this year. During a tour of a Ford plant near Detroit, President Trump mouthed an expletive and made an obscene gesture at a worker who heckled him. The worker was later suspended, pending an investigation. House Republicans had to pull a key procedural vote after members were absent or defected, exposing how thin their majority has become. Some GOP lawmakers openly questioned leadership's whip operation as funding deadlines near. Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. HHS said it is rescinding all layoff notices at the CDC's Workplace Safety Institute, NIOSH, bringing back employees who received RIF letters. A union said the agency reversed course after earlier cuts. Bucks County Sheriff Danny Seisler ended his office's 287G partnership with ICE, citing public safety and trust concerns. He barred deputies from asking crime victims and witnesses about immigration status. The House passed a 2-bill spending package funding the Treasury and State Departments as the John on 30 shutdown deadline approaches. The vote was 341-79, but Congress still must finish the rest of the bills. President Trump signed a Section 232 proclamation ordering negotiations to adjust imports of processed critical minerals and derivative products. The White House said it aims to address national security risks in the supply chain. The U.S. is pulling some personnel from Middle East bases after Iran warned it would strike nearby host countries if Washington attacks. The UN Security Council is meeting on Iran as tensions rise. Virginia Democrats advanced a constitutional amendment that could let lawmakers redraw the state's congressional map. Republicans called it a power grab, and leaders say it could go to voters this spring. Missouri Gov. Mike Kehoe asked lawmakers to let voters decide whether to phase out and eliminate the state income tax. He said the legislature would tackle the details on replacement revenue next year. A federal officer in Minneapolis shot a man in the leg during an ICE arrest after DHS said the suspect attacked him with a shovel. Authorities said 2 other suspects. Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. California Governor Gavin Newsom said he will not honor Louisiana's request to extradite a doctor accused of mailing abortion pills into the state. Newsom cited California's shield protections, setting up a new interstate legal fight. President Trump again argued the U.S. should control Greenland and said it would make NATO more formidable. Denmark and Greenland rejected the idea, but officials agreed to keep talks going on Arctic security. President Trump signed a Section 232 proclamation directing talks to adjust imports of processed critical minerals and related products. The White House said the goal is to reduce supply chain risks and strengthen U.S. national security. Bucks County Sheriff Danny Seisler ended his office's 287G partnership with ICE, saying it will help rebuild trust and improve public safety. He said the county will still share required jail information with federal officials. The Supreme Court revived a challenge to Illinois rules that count some mail ballots received after Election Day. The justices sent the case back to lower courts, keeping the dispute alive ahead of future elections. New CMS data show about 22.8 million people selected Affordable Care Act plans this season, roughly 1.4 million fewer than last year. Analysts point to higher premiums and expiring tax credits as key factors. HHS rescinded layoff notices and reinstated all employees at NIOSH, the Federal Workplace Safety Research Agency. The move reverses earlier cuts that raised concerns about worker protections and health research. Missouri Gov. Mike Kehoe asked lawmakers to let voters decide whether to phase out and eliminate the state income tax. Supporters say it could boost growth, while critics warn it could blow a major hole in state revenue. The Trump administration reversed plans to cut more than $2 billion in mental health and addiction grants after bipartisan backlash. Officials said funding will be restored, easing disruptions for clinics and nonprofit providers. During a visit to a Ford plant near Detroit, President Trump mouthed an expletive and made an obscene gesture at a worker who heckled him. Ford later suspended the worker and said it is reviewing the incident.